Hello. Hello, and thanks for tuning in. I'm just checking if everything is working properly, our stream and stuff. So I think it's working. If you can see me, if anybody's there, hello. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're actually streaming live today on two platforms. We're streaming live on Facebook, and we're also live on YouTube at the same time. So wherever you're watching this from, thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Linda. I'm a marketing and affiliation professional at ITTT, and I live in South Korea. I've been in South Korea for 5.5 years now, and if you're interested in, teaching English in South Korea and Asia, you can check out my personal social media. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, and you can check that out. But yeah, like I said, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and if you are listening to this as a podcast episode, thanks so much for downloading. For anyone who's interested, we do convert these live sessions into podcast episodes on our podcast. We have a podcast on iTunes, on Spotify, on that was my phone, I went off. On Spotify, on iTunes, on Google, all the major podcast platforms. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to drop a link in the comment box and you can check out the podcast. That might be something good, to tune in while you drive. I always listen to podcasts while I'm driving, so why not? Also don't forget to like and subscribe, whatever platform you are watching this from. Give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. Just give us some love. We would love that. So like I said, I'm in South Korea right now. It's Friday, 10 a.m. Where are you guys tuning in from? Let me know. I know there's some people watching right now. Hi! Where are you guys at? Let me know. I'm about an hour and a half from Seoul, sort of in the center of South Korea. It's fun. It's good fun. But anyway, what we're going to talk about today are the biggest misconceptions about TEFL and TESOL and teaching English abroad. So bear with me. I have two laptops here that I'm working on. One has some slides on, and then this one is for streaming, the comments. So I might be a little bit slow, but bear with me. So we have somebody from Algeria. Oh, sorry, I thought it was Algeria. Mexico. Patty. Hi there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Someone's tuning in from Ottawa, Canada. Cool. Hi, Josh. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Anybody else here? Anybody in Asia? Anybody near me? Or North America only? Would love to know. Anyway, I'll keep my eye on the comments. So, yeah. So, like I said, today we're going to talk about the biggest misconceptions about TEFL and TESOL. So, and teaching English in general, because we get a lot of questions here at ITTT, and a lot of people, are confused. And I just want to clear a few things up, debunk some myths here and there. And I think I've narrowed it down to 8 misconceptions that we're going to look at. And you can throw your questions at me at any time. Like I said, it's just me working this. So maybe, I'm not going to be able to see your question while I'm talking. But at the end, there's also a, some time for asking questions. So don't hesitate. This is what I'm here for, ask your questions at any time. I see there's some more people from China. Oh, someone's watching in Italy. It's 2 a.m. Aw. So you won't be able to watch live. Sure. Yeah, we also always have, our live sessions available for playback. They stay on our Facebook page, and they also stay on our YouTube. And like I said, you can also download them as podcast episodes and listen to them later. And if at any point, ask some questions after the live, I'll get back to you as well. Then also somebody from the Philippines. Hi. So some people in Asia. That's awesome. Okay. Then yeah, I would also really like to know where you are like in your TEFL journey. Are you currently taking a TEFL or TESOL course? Are you thinking about it? Are you already certified? Are you already teaching abroad? Let me know. That would be also interesting to know. I think we have a pretty good mixed group here today. So also want to mention that we are doing these live sessions now every week. So that's very exciting. I'll be here every Friday morning in South Korea around this time. And, North America, it's in the evening. Or in Italy, it's 2 a.m. You never know. So I'll be here and always live answering your questions. And we're also planning on bringing on some guests in the futures that I think will be really, really interesting. We're going to have on some people, also in the TEFL and TESOL and EFL English education industry, some experts there that are going to be able to talk about those kinds of things. I think that's really interesting. Some partners of ours, ITTT partners. And then we're also going to have some ITTT course grads on that are going to be talking about, their journey from taking the course to what they're doing now, because a lot of them are teaching you in the most incredible destinations all around the world, and it's super, super exciting, and I think that's going to be of very great value. So look out for that. And then let's jump right into the biggest misconceptions about TEFL and TESOL and teaching English abroad. And I have prepared some slides, and I think I'm going to make them bigger so you can see that here. Awesome. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about today. And let me just start off by explaining quickly the difference between TEFL and TESOL, because this is also something that, we get asked all the time, like, what's the difference? Which one should I get, etc., etc. So I just want to mention that TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language, and TESOL stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. So they sound very similar, right? The acronyms, the explanations, and indeed they are pretty much the same thing. Especially nowadays, they kind of merged into the same thing. So whether you're doing a TEFL course or a TESOL course, the training essentially is exactly the same. And the only difference is, that TEFL is most commonly used within the UK and Europe, and the TESOL acronym is preferred in Australia and the USA. So it just depends like where you're from. That, in Europe, people most likely use the term TEFL more, sorry. And in Australia and the USA, they most likely use TESOL more. But it entails the exact same training. And actually on our certificates, I have mine right here. I can show you real quick. I'm going to make myself bigger again. This is what it looks like. And you can actually choose if your certificate should say TEFL or TESOL. So depending on where you're from or where you want to teach, you can choose that. But also it says here International TEFL and TESOL Training, ITTT. So it does mention both TEFL and TESOL. But then further down here, let me see here, TEFL. So I chose TEFL, 120-hour TEFL course. So you can choose whether your certificate should say TEFL or TESOL. It's totally up to you. Have a couple of more people joining. Hi, thanks so much for joining us. We're talking about the biggest misconceptions about TEFL and TESOL. So stay tuned for that. Keep watching. Okay, so just a little bit about that before we jump right in. Here we go. Now let's talk about the biggest misconceptions. I've narrowed it down to 8, but I'm sure there's more, but those are like the most, the most important ones that I thought we should cover because a lot of people get confused. Yeah, let's start with the first one. The number one biggest misconception about teaching English is it's really hard to find a job teaching English abroad. We hear this a lot, like, oh, it's so hard to find a job and it's so hard to find a teaching job abroad and stuff. And like, sure, you know, it always depends on your own qualifications. And if you're like set on this one destination, then maybe, yeah, it can be a little bit hard to find a job in that one place that you might want to go to. It always depends on your personal qualifications and stuff. But actually, according to the British Council, in 2020, there's 2 billion people around the world speaking and learning English. So there's a huge demand for English language education worldwide. And actually, one of the biggest markets or areas, regions in terms of demand for English language teaching is Asia. And in Asia, the biggest one is China. So in China alone, there are 200 million people learning English. So you'll find a lot of jobs specifically offered in China, in other countries around Asia, East Asia, South Korea, where I'm at, or Japan, Taiwan, also Southeast Asia, also Latin America is a huge, huge market. Even now during the pandemic, we still get a lot of job offers and schools are still hiring. So there's a huge demand. It's obviously, you know, different countries have different requirements. So it always depends. Some people, you know, might have to adjust a little bit in terms of destination, but you can always, you know, get, you know, up your certification, up your TEFL certification. That's why we offer so many different courses for all kinds of scenarios. So we have the basic TEFL course. We also have all these specializations. We have a diploma in TESOL. So whatever your background, you can take these certifications to then, you know, find the job that you really want. So that's why I would say this is one of the biggest misconceptions, because the demand is so huge. And you can definitely find a job teaching English abroad if you want to. Let's move on to the next one. Number 2. Okay, the biggest misconceptions about teaching English. Number 2 is you need a degree to teach English abroad. We get that asked a lot. Do I need to have a degree? And do I need to have a degree in English? Do I need to have a degree, you know, in teaching? Do I have to have a teaching license? All these kinds of things. So yes, it is true that some countries, you know, and some schools also, they do require their teachers to have a degree, at least a 4-year degree, you know, bachelor's degree. But then even if that's the case, you know, the bachelor's degree doesn't have to be in English. It can be any major. So for example, in my case, my bachelor's degree major is management and foreign languages, and you can still find a job. If you do not have a degree, don't despair. There are still many locations where you can get hired and you can find a job if you don't have a degree. Those places are usually in, you know, Southeast Asia, countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, places like that, or Latin America, a lot of places there. So even if you don't have a degree, you can still find a job teaching English abroad. You might have to, you know, be a little bit more flexible in terms of location, but it's definitely possible. And you can always, like I said, take your TEFL courses to, you know, stand out from the crowd if you don't have a degree. So that's definitely recommended. All right. Number 3, biggest misconceptions about teaching English is TEFL doesn't pay well. I always have to laugh about that because, you know, you always need to consider the location. Salaries, they vary from country to country, and even in the country, they vary from city to city, region to region. So there's no like one set TEFL salary. It always depends on where you teach and also the type of school you work at. You know, private schools are going to pay a different salary than private schools or university or international schools and stuff like that. So if you want to make the most money teaching English abroad, the best region or location to look to would be the Middle East. So the Middle East, they have really the highest salaries out there. You can make like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 there. And a lot of countries in that region also pay their salaries tax-free. to their teachers. So that's really awesome. And there's a lot of extra benefits like free housing, free airfare, healthcare, end of contract bonuses, all of those things. So you can make a lot of money in that region. But they also tend to have a little bit higher requirements in terms of, degree and TEFL certificate and work experience and all that stuff. But another great region to look for in terms of salary is East Asia. So you can make a lot of money in China, in South Korea, in Japan, in Taiwan. Those usually pay the highest salaries in that area. Also a lot of great benefits. Like if you come to South Korea, for example, most schools will provide housing. You don't have to worry about rent. You live for free, basically. The school takes care of that. You get health care. You get end of contract bonuses. You also get all this other stuff. Oh, there's also a pension scheme. So you basically pay into the national pension scheme in South Korea, and then when you leave, you get all that money back. So that's also really great. So there's a lot of things like that. And also, you always have to remember, the local cost of living. For example, if you teach in Thailand, maybe your salary won't be that high. Maybe it's like $1,600 for example. But, $1,600 are going to get you much further in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, than it would back home. So always consider those things. And I have a lot of friends, who are teachers who, every opportunity they get, every holiday, every vacation, they have the money to go, to all these amazing, amazing places around Asia, around the world. A lot of my friends, they have, paid off their student loans from back home. A lot of my friends, they are able to save a good chunk of their salary and, save that or send the money back home, or save it for when they go back to buy a house or a car or whatever. So it's definitely a good career choice in terms of money. So I wouldn't say that it doesn't pay well. Definitely not. I definitely think that's a misconception. All right, moving on. The biggest misconceptions about teaching English. Number 4, you need to speak another language. And so basically, people always ask us, hey, I want to teach English, in Spain. Do I need to speak Spanish? Or, oh, I'm going to China to teach English. Do I need to speak Chinese? And the answer is no. You do not need to know your host country's language, typically. So most of the time, really, they do not expect you to know their language, because you're the English teacher. You're there to teach the students English. And for example, at my school where I used to work at, we even had an English-only policy where the students and the teachers, they were encouraged to only speak English, in the school, on premises, for, total English immersion for the students. However, I definitely recommend, picking up some basic phrases before you go and, to your host country to teach English, because, things like please and thank you, they go a long way if you know them in the language where you're in, the language of the country where you're going to teach in. You're going to be able to build rapport with the locals. And I think that's just a great thing. And you should definitely pick up some basic words and phrases before you go. Even, when you get there in the country of your choice, there will be so many options to go and learn the language. For example, in South Korea, we have the YMCAs in every city. They offer Korean classes. Then typically every city around the world will have language exchanges, typically around university areas that you can go to, and all these kinds of things. And so I think that's a really great way to, learn a new language, but it's not a requirement. Definitely not. So, yeah. Okay, moving on to number 5, the biggest misconceptions about teaching English. You have to teach kids. You have to teach kids. we get a lot of questions like, hey, I want to teach English, but I don't want to teach kids, so I probably can't go abroad, right? You know, it is true that the largest part, excuse me, the target for EFL around the world are children. That's definitely true, especially in Asia. You know, all the after school programs are typically targeted at children, obviously, and but you can still find positions if you don't want to teach children at universities. There's also business English. I think I need a sip of coffee real quick. There's also business English classes. That's really big all around the world. And even, you know, the term kids is really very broad. You get classes where you teach children as young as 2 or 3 years old, but then you can also teach like high school kids. So it always depends. And in my personal opinion, I feel like a teacher should always kind of get experience teaching all different kinds of levels. So even you might not want to teach children, but you should maybe still get, you know, the experience of teaching children. It's only going to make you a better teacher. So don't shy away from that. And in my case, in South Korea, you teach a lot of kids, but then there would always be like a Korean teacher also in the classroom, you know, helping you in if there's like discipline problems and stuff like that. So you're not just thrown in there with all those kids and they're like, here, handle it. But there's definitely also support. So yeah. All right. Number 6, biggest misconceptions about teaching English. TEFL is only for young people. We actually get a lot of older people taking our TEFL courses, people in their 50s, in their 60s, because they want to, you know, top up their retirement, or they want to move abroad and do something exciting during their retirement. So a lot of countries also hire older people as teachers. That's definitely true. And it's not only for young people. One thing that you have to consider if you're older might be the local retirement age in different countries. So I know, for example, in China and in Korea, especially in Asian countries, the retirement age can be between 55 and 65. So then it might be a little bit difficult if you're older than that to get a position. Also, some schools, especially those targeted at children, you know, they always have this sort of stereotype that older people might not be as fit and enthusiastic and have the energy to teach children, which, you know, is not always true, definitely. But a lot of markets, a lot of schools, especially in terms of business English, they like to hire older people because, yeah, because of business English, and the students are going to be older there too. So it might be better to have an older teacher in terms of, you know, respect and stuff like that. But it is not impossible to find a job if you're an older person. And I've personally met a lot of older people teaching in China, in Korea as well. Even despite the retirement age, there's workarounds, and some schools are eager to hire those people with, you know, more experience. So that's definitely also something to consider for sure. All right, number 7 of the biggest misconceptions about teaching English. You don't need a TEFL qualification if you're a native English speaker. So if you're a native English speaker, you can just hop on the plane, arrive in the country of your destination, and people will be there and hire you off the airport. Some people think like that, but obviously that is not the case. It might have been the case, you know, 20 years back when teaching English abroad kind of became a thing and it was new, but it is not the case anymore. And actually, a lot of countries have made it a legal requirement in order to actually obtain a work visa to be TEFL or TESOL certified. So countries like China have that regulation where you need to have a TEFL in order to get that work visa to be a teacher there. And many other countries have followed suit. since then. And even in countries where it's maybe not a requirement to have a TEFL certificate, the schools in those countries might still require their teachers to be TEFL certified anyway, because TEFL and TESOL sort of just has become the international standard. So without a TEFL or TESOL, it's going to be really hard. Because for me, a TEFL certificate or a TESOL certificate really is kind of two things. So sure, on one hand, it's this piece of paper in your hand, that you can show people like, look, I'm a certified teacher. But on the other hand, this TEFL or TESOL course also teaches you the skills and the knowledge necessary to teach. Because only because you're a native English speaker doesn't mean you're able to actually teach and understand what your students' needs are. And that's what a TEFL and TESOL course teaches you. So for myself, I want to provide the best value to my students, and that's why I take a TEFL or TESOL course. So it's two things. And, the schools, they also know that. They see, oh, this teacher has a TEFL or a TESOL. They are serious about, the job. Because a lot of people might, or a lot of schools might think, some people just move to a different country to have fun, to travel. And obviously that would not be a good candidate for their school. So they're looking for someone who's serious and really wants to be a teacher. So yeah. And then moving on to the final misconception, number 8, final misconception about teaching English. You have to be a native English speaker to teach. So yeah, some countries, it is true that some countries only hire native English speakers or speakers with passports from certain countries. However, there are still many, many countries where they also hire non-native English speakers who are certified, who have experience or no experience. It depends, on the school and the location. But actually, there's a lot of non-native English speakers who want to be English teachers. And there's so many benefits to that, because non-native English speaking teachers, they've been through the whole process themselves. They learned English themselves, so they know exactly what students might struggle with. And a lot of schools, they see that and they hire people like that. And a lot of our ITTT course grads are non-native English speakers, and they move on to amazing careers abroad or in their own country. So just because you're not a native English speaker, it's not going to hold you back from teaching abroad. It might limit some choices in terms of destination, but it's not going to be a deal breaker. In fact, many schools see it as an advantage. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's it for this point. Then now we would move on to the open Q&A session. And let me make myself bigger again. And I'll finally have some time to look at the comments as well. So let me just go through this a little bit. Jacqueline says, hello from Wisconsin, USA. Hi, Jacqueline. Earned TEFL ITTT 2014. Wow, that's awesome. But have not been able to teach yet. Okay, why is that? Personally or why? I would love to know. Okay. Then we have Christian. I'm not a native speaker, but I'm interested in taking the TESOL certificate. Do you think it is hard for non-native speakers to find a job as a teacher? So that's what I just talked about. I think that answers the question. Let me know if it doesn't, or if you missed it, you can rewatch, but I just answered this question. Then Teacher Lewis 10 says, amazing presentation. Thanks so much. It means a lot. I hope it's helpful. That's why I'm here. That's why I do it. But thanks. That's great. Then we have somebody from Russia. Do you guys have TOEFL? So no, we do not have a TOEFL. Those are different things. So a TOEFL, forget what it stands for, but it's for English proficiency, certification. So we do something different. We do teaching certificates. So for people who want to teach English abroad, they take a TEFL or a TESOL course, not a TOEFL. However, if you maybe are a TEFL or TESOL teacher later on, you might have to do some TOEFL training, some TOEFL prep classes and stuff like that. Okay. We have another person, Ipiling. Hi, I am in Botswana, Africa. I'm a TESOL TEFL graduate. I want to work in China. Awesome. Yeah, China is hiring like crazy. So I think you're not going to have any problem if you have a TESOL or TEFL certificate. So, go for it, apply for jobs, and pick the best one. That's my recommendation. Also, I want to quickly mention that you can find ITTT online across, all major social media platforms, etc. You can hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can check our website out at teflcourse.net. And you can also email us anytime at courses@tesol-tefl.com. So if you have any questions, if you want to take the course, if you just want to ask something, hit us up and we'll get back to you. All right, back to Q&A. And also, let me just post this link real quick. We have a very vast FAQ section that might also answer your questions if I forget to answer it, or if you, have a question later on after this. I'm just going to post it here. It's teflcourse.net/FAQ. So you can check that out for any additional questions. Okay, let's look at these questions. From Nadine, hi, from the Philippines, hi. Applying for either Japan or Taiwan soon. That's awesome. I love both locations. Great choice. Just got my certificate last month. Congratulations. Any tips? That's a good one. Well, you already have your certificate, They probably are going to do Skype interviews with you. So my tip would be to prepare yourself for that. We actually have some pointers, some tips about that on our FAQ section. And we also, you might want to check that out on our blog. We actually have a post about the most frequently asked questions in a TEFL interview. I'm posting the link to the blog now. So you can read that through because there's a set of questions they always ask, So look out for that. And then I would also, research the school so that you know a little bit about the school beforehand. And sometimes they might even ask you to give a short mock lesson. So you might want to prepare a little bit for that, like a 10, 15, 20-minute mock lesson, depending on, what the school's target students are. You can prepare that. They might just be like, hey, teach, show us how you teach. So prepare that. That would be a good idea. You might need it, you might not, but better be more prepared than underprepared, I guess. Good luck. Anyway. Then we have Jacqueline. She says, I'm in my mid-50s and was finally at a point in my life where I was able to seriously move forward with teaching. I was interviewing fall 2019, then learned I was going to be a grandma. Oh, okay. That was your answer to why you didn't go abroad yet, I think, right? Okay. Good. Well, I mean, it's still not too late, and even you can find some short-term positions as well. I know there's a lot of short-term stuff in Latin America, South America, that might be something for you. You could go and teach for just a few months and then come back home, or, a year. Typical teaching contracts are 1 year, so you could go somewhere, move abroad for a year and come back. But I totally get it when you're, a grandma, just became a grandma, I think. you might not want to leave so soon, so I totally understand. But then there's also the option of teaching English online, especially nowadays, especially nowadays. A lot of platforms hiring people from all over the world, TEFL and TESOL certified people to teach English online. So that might be something you could look into. Okay. Then I have a question. Where are you from, Linda, US or UK? So I was actually born and raised in Germany. My mom is German and my dad is American. So I have dual citizenship for Germany and America. And now I'm in South Korea. So yeah, crazy world for sure. Okay. All right. We still have about 5 minutes on. I don't want to end it too fast because some people might still be typing, and there's also a delay with the live. So let me know if you have any additional questions, and I'd be happy to answer. That's what I'm here for. And like I said, you can always rewatch the playback of this live. We're always, keeping our videos up on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. We have a playlist specifically for our live sessions. And like I said, we're also turning these live sessions into podcast episodes. That's really fun. So you can download these and then just listen to them, when you're driving or when you're just, want to relax your eyes or something. I always listen to podcasts when I drive. It's fun. Okay, one more question. Can you tell me if your school will provide an online BA in TESOL in the future? I think we are definitely working on something like that. So I can't give any details as of now, but we are always, evolving our courses, adding new courses to our range. So you never know what's going to come, but that would be definitely something that we can look into and perhaps offer in the future. So always stay tuned. We always share, any news and everything on our Facebook page and social media. So just stay connected, like and follow so that you're up to date. Thanks for the question, Ray. All right, another one from Jacqueline. Thank you, Linda. I've learned a lot and enjoyed this. Yes, I'm thinking about teaching online. Yeah, you should. I think it'd be great for you. And there's so many different platforms out there. You can really pick and choose which one fits your lifestyle. Some have, different teaching hours or, minimum hours that you have to do per month or per week. So you can definitely find one that fits your lifestyle. For sure, Jacqueline. Thanks for your question. Then I just want to pop this up again real quick. In case anybody missed it, you can always, okay, here we are. You can always find us online on teflcourse.net, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and email us at any time. And again, I'm Linda from ITTT, based in South Korea. And if you're interested in all things South Korea, teaching in Asia, traveling in Asia, you can check out my personal social media. You can message me on there as well. I'll answer your questions. And this was a lot of fun. So thanks so much for joining today. To anyone who was listening live and watching live on Facebook or YouTube, this was a lot of fun. And like I said, we're doing this weekly, so you can come back again next week. Maybe you have a question after this. You're like, oh, I should have asked that. So you can either, write it in the comments after this or join us again next week. It's fun. We're having a lot of fun. Last week, I don't know if anybody watched last week, we did a deep dive, an inside look into our 120-hour course and what the platform looks like. This was really fun. So you should check that out. It will be on, it's on our Facebook page. If you look at videos, you can find it there. So you can see, what the course looks like if you were to take it. And it's also on our YouTube. So I recommend that. Yeah, and join us again next week. It's always fun here. And have a good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And thanks so much for watching. See you soon.